Frank Bonada here for LowKick MMA. This is the sort of second episode of this betting preview show that we started now last week. I was joined by Patrick Post, and we had a really successful night of bets. I think pretty much 3 out of 4 sort of main bets hit. So hopefully we're going on to a second successful show. Joining me today is Murdo Todd. People who watch LowKick regularly will of course recognize him. How's it going, Murdo? How do you feel about this card?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's another. When I heard the fight was announced, it was mixed emotions, but I'm excited. It's kind of finally here, and it's one of those ones. It's like you'll remember it. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be part of MMA history. It might be Nate Diaz's last fight. So I'm looking forward to the main event and the co-main, and yeah, it should be a good night. It should be a good night.
Let's hope it's a good night. Yeah, let's get stuck into that main event first of all. Khamzat Chimaev taking on Nate Diaz. You couldn't really get a bigger sort of surging prospect versus aging veteran matchup. Chimaev 11-0, coming off the biggest win of his career of Gilbert Burns most recently, whereas Nate Diaz 20-13 on a 2-fight losing streak, and like you said, quite possibly in the last fight of his UFC career. Looking at the odds, we've got Chimaev right now anywhere between -800 all the way up to -1200, depending on which sort of site you're looking at. Diaz, I've seen him anywhere between plus 725, sometimes down to like 500, plus 500. So some money, I think, coming in on Diaz, but well, it's clear to see why Chimaev is the favorite. Well,
I mean, the lines are obviously they're massive, but it's a fair reflection of the fight, in my opinion. And the money's dropped for Diaz, but that's expected. People are going to bet on him because he's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
But I think Chimaev was like -1,125 or something like that, and it is how the fight's really, I think, it's going to pan out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, even if it wasn't like I don't know how am I saying this, stylistically it's just a bad matchup for Diaz.
Yeah,
Chimaev is probably more like a natural middleweight, whereas Diaz is a more natural lightweight. I think Diaz might still have the reach advantage. Yeah, just about. But
there's one thing.
Yeah, but just physically, Chimaev is just going to dwarf him in there. Obviously, he's got the wrestling. Diaz, he suffered against guys like RDA in the past with wrestling heavy game plans. And we know Chimaev has power. Obviously, Nate is durable, but he doesn't really have his own knockout power. Basically, what do you see Nate having going for him in this fight? If he could win, how would you see it happening?
I think it's the popular opinion of, if it goes late, it's in Nate's favor. He's got a great cardio, but I think his best route is frustrating Chimaev, trying to make a mistake, trying to catch him, because he's not gonna win rounds. I think he's got to win moments of the fight. I think Chimaev will be too much for him throughout. If he takes him down, I think he'll beat him up. On the feet, Chimaev's got okay boxing, not great kicks, but both of them have pretty like basic kind of combinations in boxing. I think it's where Diaz will find kind of his most success, but I don't think it'll be sustained success. I think if he jumps on a neck, is kind of his best game plan, really. So how do you see it?
Yeah, I really, I mean, like, all the points you're saying are valid, but I can't see it any way for Diaz to win this.
No.
Unfortunately, on the ground, Diaz has good jiu-jitsu, but just the pure physicality of Chimaev, I think, will probably be enough to see him just win out rounds on top if he wants to. Probably start going for ground and pound, and force his own submissions. Maybe he carries him across the cage like he did to the Leech. And then on the feet, Yeah, I think you're right. Neither of them have super technical striking, but the big difference maker, I think, is the power of Chimaev. We've seen, as durable as Nate Diaz is, we've seen him get dropped by Conor McGregor. We've seen him get dropped by Masvidal. And obviously he was sort of TKO'd by Josh Thompson several years ago. You know, his chin's good, but the power of Chimaev, wobbled. Yeah, he does get walloped. He does get hit. And will he be able to survive 5 rounds with a guy like Chimaev? I don't think so, in all honesty. I would love Diaz to win, but I don't think he will.
I think that would be great. But with the submission thing, it's like he does have good jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But when have we seen him really play to that strength recently? Even in the Conor McGregor fights, most of it was striking. Do you know what I mean? So it's like we've not really seen him use his jiu-jitsu for a long time, especially recently. So I don't really see that being a factor. Chimaev might want to avoid it like he did with Burns, but I don't think he'll have the same respect for Diaz as he will with Burns. I think it's really how long you see the fight playing out is how you want to bet this fight. Really, is I think the best way.
That brings me to I have one major play on this, and then 1 or 2 parlays, I think. 1 unit on fight to go over 1.5 rounds at I believe that is minus I got it minus 130, I think. So Diaz is durable. That's the one thing we've said in his favor repeatedly now. So yeah, he's got the durability. Unless he does just get like thrown across the cage like the Leech was, and just choked out instantly, just like a pure like getting completely overpowered. I think he can last at least until halfway through the second round.
Yeah, the over, did you say over 1.5? Over
1.5, yeah.
There's over 2.5, 150. It depends how you want to play it, really. If you want to take that risk and maybe put a single on over 2.5. But I think it's not even like that. I think Diaz could get stopped. I think the ref might actually feel a bit like the Ferguson loss, where he's still on his feet, but he's a bit of a mess, and you can maybe see it stopping. Or the doctor comes in, his scar tissue is legendary now. So yeah, it's really how you want to play it. Over 1.5, I think, is pretty safe, even if you want to parlay that with something. I think it's but it's a bit of a risk.
I couldn't bring myself to take over 2.5, but over 1.5 at my minus 138 is what I got at in the end. The line has since moved to minus 150, like you said, but I got it a couple of days ago. I'll take it, but
yeah, I think that's the only action that's responsible in this fight. Do you know what? I think it's like, if you want to put a half unit on Diaz for the entertainment factor, and just because it's like maybe a bit of a laugh and there's always that chance, then it's more fun that way, but you'll be losing money. You know what I mean?
It's one of those. I wouldn't even do it. Like, it's just not worth it, because how the hell can he win this fight? I just it's one of those. I can't remember watching a pay-per-view event that had such a one-sided title fight, main event on it. Like, I think maybe like, I suppose like Volkanovski versus Chan Sung Jung, something like that. But I mean,
even then,
it was people are like, well, we know where Korean Zombie could, have success. He probably won't, but he easily could. Where in this, it's like, where the hell does Diaz have any success whatsoever? As much as I hate to say it.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate one. I think we'd all like to see a different fight, but it's here now. You can just make the best of it, I suppose. But
exactly. So is that all the action you've got on it? You say over 2.5?
I'm not touching anything else on it. I mean, if you want to maybe take Chimaev minus 400 inside the distance, but even, I mean,
it's got to be a parlay piece at that point, and then
but when but it's really, there's not much worth taking, really.
No, I agree. I do have because Chimaev's line did drop down, at least on my book, to -800. So I stuck that in a parlay that we'll discuss later. But yeah, it's a hard one to bet. And it's probably going to be a hard one to watch for Nate Diaz fans. But let's move on to the co-main event of the night. We've got Jingliang Lee, the Leech, 19-7. He is facing off against Tony Ferguson, 25-7. Ferguson obviously making the move back up to welterweight. He's currently riding a 4-fight losing streak. And 4 months ago, finished by Michael Chandler in the most brutal fashion, a front kick to the face. That I think that was Ferguson's first ever actual KO loss, first time he was knocked out cold. And 4 months, it's not that long, especially for a guy, how old is he now? 38 years old. You gotta wonder. Maybe the move up to welterweight will save his chin a bit, but Li Jingliang hits hard. We saw him knock out Muslim Salikov most recently. This is another sort of legend killer.
It's like a mini one of the main event, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can you see an avenue for Ferguson winning this fight, or is it all the Leech?
It's such a Tony Ferguson move to fight Li Jingliang after getting knocked out. Listen, I think it would be far too soon for most people. 4 months after, it was horrendous. I mean, he was out for a long time, and you could see he wasn't right walking out and stuff like that. I think he's going to be too small. I never thought of Tony as being a particularly big 155er or a guy that maybe struggled with weight cuts, but I think he said he's changed his training kind of situation up. So
yeah, he's a Jackson Wink now. Jackson Wink,
yes,
with that team. Which I don't know, is that a good team now? They were great like 5 years ago, but like I don't even know what the stable's like there anymore.
I don't know who they've got left now. A lot of them have aged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. But I might I'll probably put a half unit on my boy Tony riding that. Just because do you know what? I think it's like the MMA gods have been so cruel to us. I think they've kind of got to let this one slide just for us. I think they can't have two horrendous beatings on the same night of but I'll probably put a half unit on Tony just because I'm hopeful. But I think Li Jingliang is probably a decent parlay piece. I like the over 1.5 in this one. I think that I know we saw him got knocked out badly, but I think he'll adapt to that, and I don't really see him getting knocked out too early, and I also don't see him stopping the Leech in 7.5 minutes. What have you got for this one?
Well, first of all, I will just say, to sort of back up your point, the fact that you're putting a bit on Tony, he did look great against Chandler until he got knocked out. That first round, I think he even dropped him with a jab at one point. So yeah, he did start to look, he's back in that sort of like free flowing style. So yeah, that gave me a lot of hope watching it. But I just think the Leech is a bad matchup for him. He hits hard, he's strong, physically imposing, and he's not even one of those guys who like if you survive the first round then you're going to be grand. Like against Salikov, he barely did anything in the first round and then suddenly got into it and just finished the fight like that. It just went from 0 to 100 really quickly. So I would love to see Tony Ferguson win, but I've taken the Leech in a parlay with the next fight, just because I don't know a clear way to win. He might finish Tony, but I don't, unless it's a real power puncher. I don't think I could ever bet against Tony to be knocked out, just because it's Tony Ferguson, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think I'll probably I'll have Li Jingliang in a parlay, but to cover me for this one. But yeah, I think it's it's weird stylistic matchup. I think there's so many other better fights out there for Tony, but I think you know he's his own man, and I think it's very typical of him to take that. But yeah, I like the over in this one. Over 1.5 is what I'll be putting on as well.
What's that line there right now?
Minus 150.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's grand. I might take a stab at that as well.
I think it's not a bad one.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to. I just did this off camera to you before, but what, in my opinion, is probably the best competitive fight on the card.
Definitely.
We've got Kevin Holland, the Trailblazer, taking on Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez. Yeah, really, a really fun fight. And one that I personally think the line is off on it. Really, got Holland coming in at around minus 200. It's a big favorite, whilst Daniel Rodriguez sits at plus 170. I think that line is too wide personally. Rodriguez realistically could easily be a undefeated fighter inside the UFC. Only loss on his UFC record is against Nicholas Dalby. That decision that I love Nicholas Dalby, but I think Daniel Rodriguez won that fight. Since then, he's beat Mike Perry, Preston Parsons, and Kevin Lee as well. Clinical boxer with very good takedown defense and an iron chin as well. So, yeah, I mean, I this is one of those though. I love Kevin Holland. I'm a huge Kevin Holland fan. I watched his whole sort of rise in the space of the COVID era, from literally nothing to suddenly like one of the UFC's biggest stars, and now he's down at welterweight, which probably is his natural weight. But having said that, this fight is a catch weight, I think, at 180.
80.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this fight, and have you got a side?
Listen, I think the value is definitely with Rodriguez for sure. I also think fight goes the distance at 130 plus 137 is a good option. I know these guys. I know they have finishes on the record, but I don't see them finishing each other. I think Holland has proven that he's very durable, and he's gone 5 rounds with big middleweights. Rodriguez is obviously tough as nails, and I think Holland might try and take it to the ground, try his luck there, but if it stays on the feet, I don't really see them each other getting knocked out. I think that's probably the best option. Obviously, the value is Rodriguez, but I might side with Kevin Holland. I think his striking's a bit more varied than Rodriguez. He's got the size, and obviously, I think he's a better grappler than Rodriguez if that's brought into play. But yeah, plus 137 for fight goes the distance, and potentially a Kevin Holland parlay piece. What about you?
Yeah, I'm on the other side. I went with the value. I think I think Daniel Rodriguez is just too good to be a plus 170 underdog. I don't think Holland's going to be able to rock him. I think his sort of slick, just basic fundamental boxing style will find a way to clip Holland in those sort of wild striking exchanges. I think he can have the bigger round winning moments, and I think his takedown defense can stop Holland from utilizing his grappling skills at all. Holland is his sort of style, I think, is quite good for winning rounds. So which is why maybe he is a heavy favorite. He's also a name, which I think has boosted his the odds on towards making him a favorite in this one. But no, I'm taking Daniel Rodriguez plus 170, 1 unit on that. And I'm also taking the over 1.5 parlayed with Li Jingliang in the previous fight.
Good one. That
comes in at even money, 1 unit on that. I'm pretty confident in that to play through. But you know what? I like your fight goes a distance as well, to be honest, just because, well, the only thing is I wonder if Holland might get cracked. I don't think Rodriguez is going to get finished. I don't think he's going to get submitted or knocked out. The only thing is maybe Holland gets cracked, but if you can get plus money on fight goes the distance, I think that's a pretty solid pick.
Yeah, I like the Rodriguez pick. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it really is. It is a lot closer than I think people are giving it credit for.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Rodriguez have definitely got the value.
But
So,
the line's getting wider as well. Holland was a plus 150 like at the start of the week, and it is ballooned up to minus 150. It's ballooned up to minus 200 now.
That's what happens when there's these big names in,
yeah,
recognizable ones. They'll just put a bet on.
100%.
Yeah,
it was the same last week with Charles Jourdain against Nathaniel Wood. I went very heavy on Nathaniel Wood just because I thought the line was so well off. Like, give me plus money on a guy who's got the more well-rounded skill set over someone who's like a cult fan favorite.
yeah.
Next fight on the main card, Irene Aldana versus Macy Chiasson. One of the fights I have somewhat less interest in all honesty. I don't really have any action on it. I think Aldana is quite good. She should be a favorite. She's a minus 200 favorite. Chiasson coming in at plus 170. Yeah, not a fight I have a big read on. Your thoughts?
Yep. I'd probably side with Aldana. I think she's at minus 175 here, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nothing. I'm probably gonna avoid it, but I think the minus 175 as a parlay piece is pretty smart. And both women have good finishing records. If you want to go under 2.5, it's plus 150. It's not maybe worth a stab, but yeah, I think Aldana at one as a parlay piece is the smartest move here.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think I could predict an outcome for this fight. But I do think Aldana is the more well-rounded fighter, hits harder, good takedown defense. I haven't got a huge much more to say on this one, but yeah, I think Aldana is the play, but I'm not playing it really so far.
Yeah.
Then we have just the chaos fight of the main card: Johnny Walker versus Ion Cutelaba. Yeah, both these men are just absolute maniacs. Johnny Walker sort of rose to the top quite quickly, and then suddenly hit a ceiling and has shot back down. Obviously now was it 1-4 in his past 5 fights, having been KO'd most recently by Jamal Hill in just brutal fashion. Was Ion Cutelaba, who is the favorite in this fight. He's almost been like constantly just on the fringes of the top 15 for some time now. Well, if you look at his past 4 fights, 5 fights even, he only has 1 win in the mix, 1 draw, and 3 losses. But well, yeah, personally, I think he has the advantage in this fight. He is a bit of a wild man, but then he is also a very good wrestler with very solid top control. Johnny Walker is a wild man as well, but I feel like his skill set is less put together, and he just goes out there and throws what he feels like. Whereas Cutelaba has a game plan. He can deviate from it, but it is there initially, at least. Yeah, you got to play. What's your thoughts on this fight?
I'd probably maybe take the under 1.5 at minus 150. I don't think it's Cutelaba. If he remains in control and sticks to his wrestling, I think it will be not a fairly easy night. But I just think if it gets in exchanges, Walker's always dangerous. But I have a lot of questions about Walker's chin. He's been rocked a lot. I think I've seen footage of him sparring a boxer. I think he was like a super middleweight boxer, and he was getting dropped all over the place. I think there's a lot of questions about that. So yeah, under 1.5, minus 150 is probably the best one for me. Or Cutelaba as a parlay piece. He's the more well-rounded fighter.
Yeah.
We obviously know what Walker brings, but yeah, Cutelaba is probably the safer side in this one. But if you want to take a stab at Walker at inside the distance, it is at plus 240. It's okay,
Not a bad
but
line.
no,
Yeah.
not a bad one.
I've gone the other side of that. I've taken Cutelaba inside the distance. I think Johnny Walker's chin is pretty suspect now. Cutelaba hits hard. Before he lost to Ryan Spann, he was delivering some very, serious damage from top control. Cutelaba inside the distance at -110. Almost even money. One unit on that. I think. Yeah, the way Walker throws himself into exchanges, Cutelaba could even land on the feet. But I do think, he can coast and get like a, relatively easy ground and pound or submission finish if he gets the fight to the floor. So yeah, Cutelaba inside the distance is the play I'm going for in this one. Moving down the card, what at least Tapology have listed as the featured prelim would be Hakeem Dawodu versus Julian Erosa. Fun fight. I really like Julian Erosa. I like watching him fight. I feel like, he's actually got a nice little streak together now. 4 wins out of his last 5. A little bit of a suspect chin is the issue with Erosa, but this is his 3rd time in the UFC right now. I think his 3rd sort of tenure, having been cut twice, and is now picked up wins over Sean Woodson, Nate Landwehr, Charles Jourdain, and Stephen Peterson. So that's not a bad
Really
resume.
good.
Yeah,
not bad.
He's taking on Hakeem Dawodu. I feel like I'm mispronouncing that every time, but who is I think he's also a very solid fighter. I feel like Erosa is probably the more fun fight to watch, but I feel like Hakeem's the more I don't want to discredit Erosa's skills, but I feel like Hakeem has the potential to go further. I think he's got the sort of skill set that will see him win and beat a lot of big names, especially if fights play out in striking exchanges. He's quite durable. He's an excellent kickboxer. I feel like he can just pick up rounds against a lot of people. He is the favorite in this fight, coming in at -220, whilst Erosa sits at a +180 underdog, which I think is probably right. I think Hakeem will have the advantage on the feet, and his takedown defense should be good enough to keep it up to stop Erosa, throwing any of his like slick submissions up. So yeah, I lean towards the Dawodu side, but I don't have a play. What about yourself?
I have flyer, a good flyer here.
All
right. Erosa has been finished 4 times in the first round, so I'm going Dawodu first round finish +500 for a unit.
Wow, I love it. Why not? Like,
you've got to have them at some point, Dawodu's only got 1 first round knockout, but listen, we'll go with it. I think it's not a bad shout, as you were saying. Erosa's chin, little suspect. He can be caught cold. We've seen that. So yeah, +500 Dawodu first round.
Yeah, I mean, Erosa's going to go out there and he's going to want to brawl. They're in front of a crowd. I feel like I've seen Erosa a lot in the Apex arena. I'm not sure if this is his first one in a while in front of a crowd or not. But he's going to get into that exchange. He's going to start swinging, and Hakeem is a super slick striker. So yeah, maybe he does land on him. I don't quite have enough confidence to take it myself, just because I feel like Hakeem's a bit of a point striker, like or point fighter. So
I think he's like what? I think like 5 of his last 6 wins are by decision or something.
Yeah.
But it's I'm not particularly.
Oh no, it's not. He 4 wins ago he knocked out Yoshinori Hori with a head kick, which was 3 years ago. That's the most recent KO. But I mean, I'm pretty sure Hakeem has a knockout over like Mike Malott, who's a UFC middleweight now, so he can finish people.
Yeah,
it's just if he chooses to like let his hands go in that sort of way, if that's the game plan that he follows, or if he would rather just pick up wins over rounds, like he has been doing against guys like Trezano most recently.
But Erosa's dangerous. He might not want to be in there with him too long. which is kind of what I'm hoping for. Erosa also has finishing ability.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it'll be a fun fight, one of the funner fights of the night for sure. But yeah, nothing too heavy on this one.
Yeah. Actually, I lied earlier. I said I have nothing on this fight. I have Hakeem in a parlay with Khamzat and someone else. I can't remember who. But yeah, it should be a fun one though. One of the more fun fights on the card, one of the more competitive fights on the card. And there's probably quite a lot of different ways it could go. Moving down, we have another catchweight fight. Jailton Almeida taking on Anton Turkalj. I can't even pronounce that. We'll call him Anton. Is stepping in on short notice. It was, I believe, Shamil Abdurakhimov. Of course, I can say Abdurakhimov, fine, but it's like Turkalj or whatever it is. Yeah, stepping in on short notice. 8-0, undefeated Swedish prospect is Anton. Having made a successful appearance on the Dana White Contender Series last month. But he is coming against Jailton Almeida, who is probably one of the biggest prospects in the UFC's light heavyweight division. In fact, last time he took a short notice fight, moved up to heavyweight, and finished Parker Porter, I think in the first round or the second round, with a rear naked choke. Just a lethal finisher. KO wins over Danilo Marquez as well. Submitted Nasrudinov on the Contender Series. He's just a natural finisher and someone who just appears to be really, really skilled and really dangerous, especially when he gets in that top control position. He's a massive favorite coming into this, as you might expect, fighting against a short notice opponent. Almeida comes in at -700. Anton is +500. I think the play all day is Almeida. Well, not the play, the side is always going to be Almeida, but can you play him at -700? I mean, it's getting pretty chalky at that point. I do have him in a parlay. Almeida inside the distance. That is paired with Norma Dumont and Khamzat Chimaev as well. Yeah, I think it's a pretty, well, in my mind at least, it's a pretty clear route, but tell me why I'm wrong.
No, I'll be parlaying inside the distance as well. I usually don't, but I'm pretty confident in this one. You can maybe parlay the -700, but it's not. It's personal choice. I think he'll get it done.
Yeah, he's a natural finisher.
I just think he's just far better. And listen, the guy's coming in short notice. You can't really blame him. But I think it'll be an early night for this one. So Almeida inside the distance as well.
I'm just noticing now Anton Turkalj's nickname is the Pleasure Man. I wonder what the story is behind that one.
You could also maybe take sub if your service offers it. Ours doesn't, unfortunately, but I don't know what the line is on that. I think that would probably be worth it as a prop one, but ours unfortunately does not offer.
No, we just got into the distance. Yeah, that probably is a good play if you can get it. It's just a prime sort of parlay piece, I think. Yeah, pretty clear side. Just going down the card now, we have Jamie Pickett versus Dennis Tilulian. Not a fight I've got any interest in, not one I've done any tape on. Not. So we're going to pass over that one for now. So next up we have a heavyweight fight. Jake Collier taking on Chris Barnett. This is one of the less maybe technical fights on the card. Though having said that, Chris Barnett is known to throw some sort of unique techniques out there in the past, not typically attributed to those of the heavyweight division. Jake Collier goes into this fight a big, was it minus 400 favorite, I believe? Yeah, minus 400. Chris Barnett sits at plus 300. Go on, Murdo. What's your give us your thoughts?
If Jake Collier being if Jake Collier is a minus 400 favorite, that really tells you something about a fight. Listen, if you want to use him as a parlay piece, fine. I'll be not touching this fight or watching it. So,
well, this is one that when I saw it, I couldn't believe that Jake Collier was sitting there at minus 400. How can Jake Collier ever be a minus 400? He's a former middleweight who's moved up 2 divisions.
a little bit more than 2 divisions. I mean, the boy's massive.
Really is. It's insane compared to like the pictures when he was competing at middleweight. Whereas, he's taking on Chris Barnett, who's sort of got like a cult hero status, and won me a lot of money when he knocked out Gian Villante with that spinning wheel kick, which is why I'm taking a little stab on Chris Barnett by decision at plus 300, just because that line is so out of whack. I feel like, how can Collier is not that good. He's okay. No. He's fine. He's got some nice technique and he's got some decent speed that he's sort of brought up the division with him. But, like I said, it's very light, but I'm taking a little stab on Beast Boy, just money line at plus 300, just because Jake Collier should never be a minus 400.
I can't believe this sentence is going to come out of my mouth. I suppose the value is with Chris Barnett.
It is.
I mean, they're not that far apart in skill level. They're not as far apart as the odds suggest. Yeah. Barnett did not look good in his last fight.
No.
But I don't. You could use Collier as a parlay piece, a little booster for you if you want. But
I would never do that. But what use is a minus 400 going to be on someone who I feel like has like a, I don't know. I think maybe he should be a slight favorite, but like, if you're parlaying guys with like minus 400 or whatever, go take Gelton Almeida by inside the distance. Go take Norma Dumont money line. Go take Hacking Dawodu money line. Don't do Jake Collier at minus 400. I beg you.
It's true, but I suppose it's. I won't be touching this, but if you really feel that you have to touch it, then go ahead.
Moving on. Not a huge amount of fights left. We're going to sort of breeze through them a bit. We spoke about Norma Dumont and Danielle Wolff off camera. Norma Dumont is a massive favorite, as she should be, considering she has a 7-0 record in MMA. Danielle Wolff is 1-0. That one win coming on the Contender Series, where, let's be honest, she really didn't look that good. She's also 39, whereas Dumont is 31. Dumont has been competing against, high-level opposition in terms of division. Her last 3 fights: Macy Chiasson, Aspen Ladd, Felicia Spencer. And even prior to that, Ashley Evans Smith, who's not a bad fighter. Danielle Wolff shouldn't be in the UFC. It was ridiculous bringing in. It's just because the UFC don't have any featherweights, and they need to match people up. So, I think it's just a gimme fight for Dumont. Use her as a parlay piece. Anything else to say?
No, nothing. Wolff is just not anywhere near UFC caliber at all. She's 1-0. Dumont is a pretty certain parlay piece. I know it's minus 400. We were saying about the Collier fight, but I would even probably have her. I don't know why she's not higher, to be honest. I don't know why she's not a bigger favorite. But if that's how they want to see it, then I'll be putting in a parlay. Definitely.
Exactly. Enough said on that one. Chad Anheliger versus Hayley Alatang. Not a fight I'm taking any action on, but I think it will be a fun little bantamweight scrap. Anheliger made his UFC debut recently. Well, no, he's coming off his UFC debut where he knocked out Jesse Strader in the last round in a really fun competitive back and forth fight. Haley Alatang coming off a KO. Kevin Kroom. Kroom does get knocked out a lot, but Alatang does hold power for someone in that division. I don't think I could predict a side. I just think it's going to be a very fun bantamweight scrap.
Yeah, I say out of the powers with Altang, not much. I don't really have a side. Maybe go Altang by decision at plus 162, which is, if you want to go like that, is not. He's got power, but he's not knocking a lot of people out. I think the guy he knocked out before has not got a win in the UFC. I think.
Kroom.
Possible. Let me see. Can't. But either way, I'm not particularly. I don't think I'll be taking action on this. If I was to choose a side, it would be Altang, and probably by decision.
And yeah, you were right. Kroom does not have a win in the UFC's 3 losses and no contest. Yeah, but I think it's a nice early prelim. I will definitely enjoy watching it, but not taking it. Elise Reed versus Melissa Martinez, another fight I'm not taking action on. Elise Reed, quite a fun sort of point fighter, taekwondo karate style. Melissa Martinez making a debut. Yeah, I wouldn't even take the overs on it because Melissa Martinez is a knockout artist or a finisher. Elise Reed is a sort of decision specialist almost. Yeah, again, don't have a side. I think we just sort of brush over that one.
Yep.
Opening fight on the card, as far as I can see, is Darian Weeks versus Johan Lainesse. I think that's pronunciation. I swear I've pronounced his name like 5 different times. This is a fight I have some action on. I took Johan Lainesse at his money line at plus 100, just because I feel like the lines probably should be switched. I think Weeks still is he's 5-2, coming off 2 losses to Ian Gary and Brian Barberino, who are both good opponents, but he got beat pretty soundly in both fights. Whereas Johan Lainesse, he lost to Gabe Green 4 months ago, but I thought he looked very impressive in that fight. I think he carries a lot of power. He's bigger than Weeks. He's got a longer reach. And I feel like he's got, he's more experienced as well. I feel like he's got a better chance of picking up a win in this fight. So I did take a unit on his money line at plus 110, I think it was.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout. Probably won't have much action on it. Weeks has been in with decent level in the UFC. He's got a good amateur pedigree, which is actually unusual for a lot of MMA fighters. Lainesse, he's looked okay. Looks good, but I don't know. Nothing on this for me. No action on this for me.
Gotcha.
Didn't intrigue me.
That rounds up UFC 279 then. Yeah, like we sort of said at the start, it is a weird card because half the time you feel like you're betting against some of your like old school favorite fighters, and then there's just a lot of fights that I feel like no attachment to whatsoever. Like just a weird hodgepodge of fights that the UFC have thrown together for sort of Nate Diaz's swan song.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's an odd card. I'm probably not. I don't have much action in it. I'm not going to probably put that much more on. Nothing's. Yeah, it'll be a weird one. I'll watch it, but it's there's definitely been better and a lot stronger pay-per-views than this. But
UFC Paris last week was more exciting than this, in my opinion. I got more pumped for watching UFC Paris than watching this.
But we've had a really good run of cars of late, so it happens sometimes. But moving on to hopefully the next one will have a bit more betting value in it as well.
Yeah, I mean, look ahead at UFC 280. It's got to be like one of the most, the stat card of the year, if not, the last 5 years. So it's, I think it's UFC 280, which has got, what was it? It's got the bantamweight fight between Aljo and Dillashaw, the
taking
Oliveira versus Makachev, and then Piotr Yan, Sean O'Malley, Bilal Muhammad, Sean Brady, Benil Dariush, Matthias Gamrot. It's one of those cards. So
great card.
yeah, and I think because it's in Abu Dhabi, it might be on UK time, which is beautiful. Quick recap of the action I got down for today is Chimaev versus Diaz over 1.5 rounds, 1 unit on that. Daniel Rodriguez is money line, which is a plus 170, 1 unit on that. Ion Cutelaba inside the distance, minus 110, 1 unit on that. Chris Barnett, money line, plus 300, half a unit on that. Johan Lainesse, money line, plus 100, 1 unit on that. And a couple of parlays in the mix as well, which sort of went over. Have you got any major single plays in this one?
The only one is fight goes the distance, Holland Rodriguez.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of single value in this card, I feel. Even the ones that do, they're kind of very quite closely contested ones. So
you tell him there's not value on Chris Barnett at plus 300.
Rodriguez is a good single value bet for sure. Not a huge amount of single play, a lot of parlays with Chimaev, Jingliang, Wolff, Dumont. Nothing too crazy. And then of course the plus 500 first round Hakeem Dawodu, which is
I love that. I'll be praying for you because I'll be back into Hakeem as well. So yeah, that'll be a good one. All right then, I think that wraps things up. Let's hope. I feel like it's not as clear cut as last episode, but we had it was very clear the plays that we were going for. This one is sort of just it reflects the card. It's a hodgepodge, isn't it?
It's just like a bunch of Last week was a good week.
Definitely. All right then.
All right.
Yeah, that's wrapping up. Go subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel. Follow us on all socials. I think you can probably find Murdo at Murdo Todd at most socials, right? At least
on
Twitter. Yeah. Quite a unique name in it, so I feel like people find that easy. I'm Frank Bonada, same Twitter handle as well. Best of luck if you are putting money on this fight, if you're backing us at all. Come back next week and
we'll definitely have better bets next week. There will definitely be better bets next week for sure.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.